a complicated kit, something that keep you very, very busy and really test your skills. Hello, this is BJ from Hearns Hobbies, and I'm going to be looking at the Meng 1/35 scale A7V, which is the German tank from World War One. So here it is here. This is, I think, one of the only tanks they ever produced and actually used on the battlefield, and it was constructed after the Germans saw how effective the British tanks were in the trenches and such. So they've come up with this big massive design. It wasn't absolutely successful, but they did get it out there and it did work. And this has got a quite a bit of pride of place in Australia, because the only existing A7V exists in the Queensland Museum. So only one left in the world, and that one's called Mephisto. And that one was captured at Villers-Bretonneux, I think in 1918, and then brought back as a trophy. So if you'd like to see one, the only one, then it's over there. So make a trip to Australia and have a good look. But in the meantime, we're going to look at this Meng kit. It's 1/35 scale. When I open it up, you see how gigantic these things were. And this particular kit is quite impressive because it has full interior detail. So let's have a look. All right, pop the lid over there. All right, first thing to notice, quite obvious components of the top of the hull and the sides. Okay, so this one here, that's the front of the hull, which has the main armament, and that's the rear end. And then at the rear end, they had a couple of machine guns, which would have been poked out of these big hatches there. And then you've got all this ventilation, and then the driver's compartment was just on the top there where you got that big hole. All right, over here you've got the sides of the tank, which is going to have the drive. You got the big tow hooks, obviously. You've got some interior, so this is probably the driver's deck, I'm thinking. And then you've got the gearbox. You've got control levers here for the driver, and then some wheels and such. Okay, so we're starting on the interior already. Here you've got more of the interior and actual drive system. Okay, so you've got the chassis here, and then here you've got various parts to support the bogies. And as you'll look into it, you sort of see it here. It's got a very locomotive type look to it, because I'm assuming back in those days, engineering such big things would have been like making a train. Okay, so that part there. Over here, got more of the interior floor. Okay, so these will be the fighting compartments, sort of lower down because the driver was elevated. And then there's a lot of suspension parts and supports. And you got pneumatics is there as well. Okay, over here, what have we got? So let's see, what have we got here? This looks like the drive. Is that the driver's compartment? I'm not sure. We'll find out later. But this, you got an ammo box here. You got supports for the armor plating, and then you've got some of the side hatch. Oh, actually, that'll be the driver's hatches, I think, because there's a little square bit on the top. And then some door type hatches as well. But we'll find out all the finer details when we get into the manual. But you can see exactly how many parts are here, and as expected from Meng, it's all very, very clean. There's no flash, all very sharp edges, really nice surface rivet detail. Right, here's another very recognizable part. Okay, so the sides of the hull. Now with this particular kit, I would say if you want to make use of being able to see the interior, you probably want to make it so it comes apart. So you could either have the side that comes on and off. You could easily do that with some small neodymium magnets, or you could have that attached to the top as well. So it's a right angle piece and it just lifts off and you see the full interior. Otherwise the interior detail will be a bit of a waste, you'll miss it. Here you can see the door entry points, and then the vision and armament hatches. Okay, this particular bag carries multiples of the same thing. So I guess with a tank, you would expect road wheels. So this has a lot of the interior construction of the drive system. So you've got all the idler type wheels, you've got suspension components. These are parts of the bogie, and then you can see here, this has got that very truss look that you expect out of a train. And these are all parts of the return rollers as well. Okay, so in here you've got four 4 sheets, they're all the same. And then there's a couple of poly caps as well. That'll probably be for the driving sprockets. Okay, talking about driving sprockets, there's a drive sprocket here. Okay, so you have a drive sprocket, and then there's the idler wheel, and then there's a huge radiator. Okay, so again, you've got 2 of the same sprue. And other parts here, which look like parts of the drive, and probably engine components. Looks like a universal joint here. And then you've got some seats. So driver's seat and probably a co-driver's seat, maybe an armor, a gunner up the top maybe. But that's really nice. You see the upholstery in there. Okay. Over here we've got another couple of sheets. So these you've got the weaponry. So the personnel's weaponry. You've got a submachine gun here. You got some rifles and then some hand grenades. And this is the I guess you call that the snail magazine, which hangs off the side of the submachine gun. So very nice. These are stowed on the inside for protection. Okay, over here we've got a couple of, again, sprues are the same. We've got some machine gun ammo boxes there. This would be, I don't know, but we've got some ladders. This is probably the platform, maybe, for the driver and such. You get some more hatches, grab handles, and armor components. Okay, and that's the same there as well. Okay, from here we've got some armament. Okay, so we've got the Maxim guns. So you've got machine guns here, you've got lengths of ammo, you've got the mounts, and that's the same on this side. And talk about the main gun, I think I missed that somewhere. It wasn't quite obvious, but we'll see that in the manual. Okay, and then final sets of sprues are these ones. Now these are the individual track links. So they're quite chunky, and they're probably less obvious than say a more modern type tank. So these look like you've got chunkier interlinks, so there's less work involved. But I mean, individual tracks, you always need to be careful when you're cutting them out. Don't want to lose any, and then trimming off all the dags as well. All right, from there we've got, have your decals. So these are the World War I crosses. You've got a selection here of wire that were used for tow cables. And then at the back is a fairly comprehensive sheet of photo etch. Okay, so you've got some grills, and then other finer details. It looks like some hooking type details, and some straps. Okay, so that's there. And then we'll get into, there's the color paint guide and also decal guide. Okay, so you've got the basic camo colors there, but I guess you can do a bit more research and choose whatever color camo you like. Obviously, if you want to make Mephisto, then that's painted up in a different color. Same here, so you got front and rear views, and then here we've got the paint codes. Okay, so you've got AK codes, and then also accretion codes, which is Mr. Hobby. All right, so got those, and then you get into the manual. So let's go through the manual and we'll see what that's like. So to start off with, you've got multi-languages with a description of the history of this particular tank. Okay, so you have various, so you got the English starting from here. It's always nice with a bit of background. Okay, so that continues. So we've got Japanese as well. And then there appears to be Russian. And then we get into all the basics that you need, basic tools. Let's get that next page. All right, and then we're going to start construction. Okay, so it's the wheel arrangements of the bogies that gets built first. So you notice that when I showed you the multiple sheets of parts, that you're getting all the bits to make bogies like such. So these are sub-assemblies. and you'll be making multiples of those. Get to the next page. And then you start doing the base of the hull. Okay, so you got your side armor going in with the gearbox. So you have the engine there as well. There's no actual engine detail because that's actually between the fighting compartment and the base of the chassis. But at least you can see the gearbox here. Then you've got the reinforcing struts. As you can see, there's multiples going across. It's starting to look a bit like a bridge, isn't it? A lot of truss sections. And then you've got the return rollers. They're getting mounted towards the top. And then you've got your drive sprocket and your idler at the back. And then some of the interior construction is occurring. All right, so from there you've got all those bogie sections. They're getting mounted on. And then you've got the track construction. So you can see how simple the track construction is. There's only 2 pieces and it's interlocking. And then they're all fit onto the wheels. And basically you've got the base of your hull done. And then you start getting to all the base work for the fighting compartment. So you've got the flooring going in. And then you've got the controls for the driver. So that's on a separate panel. And then when it goes on, it's on that elevated position there. So it's like a second floor. Okay, so what step are we up to? Step 10, 12. No, jumped it a bit. Sometimes these get a bit sticky. All right, here we go. All right, so this is starting to get into the radiators. Radiators getting built. Then what have we got here? It's a bit hard to see. We've got the front and rear going in. And then we've got the armament. So there's the main armament there. The main cannon that's at the front with a breech getting built. The curved, I guess it's the mantlet on the front there, so you can rotate the gun. And then that's completed there. All right, over here we've got the ammo box we saw earlier. And then there's what I thought were ladders, actually parts of the racking. So there are racks for additional ammo. You've got the rifles, so the personal protection equipment going in. You've got all these machine guns are getting built. And then they're getting mounted on the various points on the inside of the hull. So quite a lot of machine guns. So what's that? That's 6 there. And then we've got the sides and the front and rear armor going in. So this is a point where you consider, should you just glue it in to a point where the side panel can still come off so you can see the interior. So it's a good idea to have a closer look at the manual and decide how you're going to look inside. And then you've got the finishing of the armor on the bottom there. We've got all the final finishing with the smaller details. They're going on the outside of the hull. And then you've got the door here. And obviously the door being separate, you can have that open or closed. Now a very nice diorama of one of these was built for Model Expo a couple of years ago by Costa. You'll be able to see that. I think we've got it on our website at the moment. It's also on the Model Expo website. So all the final bits. So you've got little grab handles, hatches, the doors going on. You've got plumbing. And same here, all the final little bits and pieces. Here we've got the hatches, and here it explains how the hatches actually worked. So there were sliding ones and also folding type ones. And then you can put them in either an open or closed position. And getting close to the end. Okay, and here we start seeing the roof getting done. So you've got the roof section for the driver's compartment, which was elevated. These are the side boxes here, the armor boxes. The roof itself with the vents for the ventilation. These little bits going in, which are maybe handles, I guess. Not too sure what they are. And then here's the driver's compartment getting attached to the roof, and then the roof going on top. So even that part you could have loose, lifted off, and then you can see everything inside. And then there's a bit of a tow handle, tow cable. And that is a list of all the components. So they're all the parts that we already pulled out and had a closer look at. So all in all, very, very nice. So it's quite an interesting subject because not a lot of people know about this particular tank. It's quite special in Australian culture as well, because we have the only remaining one in Australia in the Brisbane, is it Brisbane? No, Queensland Museum. And then you've got this fully complicated kit, something that keep you very, very busy and really test your skills. And I've seen these built. Costa made an absolutely fantastic one. So if you can find pictures of that, have a close look, because that one's got all the figures across the top and looks absolutely fantastic. I think he won Best of Show. So that is the Meng 1/35 scale German World War I A7V tank.